reading from the Gospel of Matthew. While Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside by themselves and said to them on the way, "See, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be handed over to the chief priests and scribes, and they will condemn him to death. Then they will hand him over to the Gentiles to be mocked and flogged and crucified, and on the third day he will be raised." Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came to him with her sons, and kneeling before him, she asked a favor of him. And he said to her, "What do you want?" She said to him, "Declare that these 2 sons of mine will sit, one at your right hand and one at your left, in your kingdom." But Jesus answered, "You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I am about to drink?" They said to him, "We are able." He said to them, "You will indeed drink my cup, but to sit at my right hand and at my left, this is not mine to grant, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father." When the 10 heard it, they were angry with the 2 brothers. But Jesus called them to him and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones are tyrants over them. It will not be so among you. But whoever wishes to be great among you must be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you must be your slave, just as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." I've heard it said before that whenever 2 or more are gathered, it can be really hard to get along. Conflict is everywhere. It is in our daily lives. It is part of what it means to be human. We butt heads with each other. We disagree. But it seems like right now we're much better at talking about each other than we are talking to each other. Here in the Gospel of Matthew, it seems that the writer has taken a little bit of liberties compared to the other Gospels and this story. In the other Gospels, the sons of Zebedee are the ones that approach Jesus themselves and ask to sit at his right hand and his left. And here, the Gospel writer, Matthew, is trying to give the disciples a good face, if you will. Matthew tries to keep the disciples looking good throughout the gospel as best he can. He tries to portray them as a little bit more understanding and a little bit more connected with what Jesus was teaching and showing them. Whereas in the other gospels, a lot of times the disciples just don't get it. And quite frankly, I think that's probably an accurate description, if anything, based on our own experiences of not getting it. And this is one of the examples where we just continuously miss the mark. The disciples are squabbling amongst themselves. You've got these 2, or perhaps their mother speaking on their behalf, asking for special privileges and a special place, rather than seeing themselves as equal and working amongst each other as a group or as a family, if you will. The same thing happens to us in the church and throughout the world. We all kind of vie for these positions of power. And I don't mean big earthly powers, right? Most of us are not going to have that kind of power as an elected official or perhaps somebody as a prominent CEO or the type of power that massive wealth can bring. But we all have some senses of power, and it feels like life is all about the pursuit of power. And what Jesus is telling his disciples, even in the midst of this squabble, is that it is not about power. Even for Jesus as the Messiah, it's not about earthly power. It is about serving. It is about being in relationship. So yes, indeed, where 2 or 3 are gathered, it can be hard to get along. But the point of the gospel is that we must try, that relationships matter more than power, that serving your neighbor matters more than elevating yourself and your status. In the season of Lent, that is one of the challenges before us, is to right our relationship with one another as we right our relationship with God in preparation for the great Easter feast. So let's challenge ourselves this day, not to elevate ourselves and not to talk about the people we're in conflict with, but to talk to them if it's safe to do so, to value that relationship and to connect so that we can truly live into the greatest call to love God and love our neighbor as ourselves. Amen.